Aloha, everyone. Hope you're having a glorious day. Today's topic is how to apologize to be a tamer me. So, I learned this first in residency from a doctor doing research on forgiveness. He was a researcher at the University of North Carolina, and he consulted with big corporations on how to handle mistakes, and he dramatically improved their businesses by simply teaching them how to apologize. He also described research on better physical and mental health for individuals who learned the skill of apologizing. And I realized this isn't something that comes intuitively. In fact, when I started watching and monitoring my patients, I realized that they hadn't learned this in their families growing up, and we certainly aren't born with it. And so when someone points out something you actually did wrong, the most common response of all of us is defensiveness. And so this is an attitude and posture that is never to admit you were wrong for various reasons, but usually it's because it makes me look bad or it makes me look weak. So being in the red zone of defensiveness looks like, number one, justifying why I did something. So it might be justifying like, oh, well, I only drank too much because I couldn't say no in front of my boss. Or two, I might do that, but you do this. So I might drink too much, but you drove me to drink with all your nagging. Number three is of defensiveness is, well, you are perfect. You never do anything wrong. And, it might sound like, oh, you don't ever drink. You've gotten drunk too. Number four, it is fine. I'm never going to do whatever again. So it might sound like, fine, I will just never go out to dinner ever again. So how do you apologize? Well, this acronym that I'm going to go over will teach you the steps. And the first step is think how my actions hurt someone. So I need to figure out who I've hurt so that I can properly apologize. So I think about how I ate the last piece of chocolate, and my wife was really looking forward to enjoying her piece of chocolate after our hike. And so when I think about how she might feel, then I can really understand the impact that I've made. So the second part is I admit fault. I take responsibility for my behaviors without justifying them. I don't make excuses. I just explain what I've done. I ate the piece of chocolate you were saving for after our hike. I'm sorry. Number three is mend, repair, or make reparation. Now, is there any way I can make this better? Yes, you can go get some chocolate right now for me. Okay, I'll be right back. And the fourth one is an explanation, but this is only if wanted. And so it typically would go something like this. If it is helpful for you, I'm happy to explain why I did that or why my behavior was the way it was. Even if it's just saying, I was just selfish and insensitive, totally not thinking about you, and I should have. The fifth one is restore the relationship or reconciliation. So forgiveness is mandatory. It's commanded by God, and it's good for our mental health. But reconciliation, now that's optional. And sometimes the one being hurt does not want continued contact, and we have to respect that. We have to, abide by their wishes. So restoration of relationship is not obligatory. It sometimes is not recommended if the other person is not interested in restoration. And finally, to memorialize, to commit to forgiveness, to not keep bringing it up. So something may come up, like I might see a ding on my surfboard that my friend made when he borrowed it. But when I'm committed to the forgiveness of him, I remind myself of that forgiveness. And so the restoration or reconciliation of the relationship is using good judgment and discretion. Like, well, should I let him use the surfboard again? Is he careless or was it just a mistake? It might require setting in a boundary. When he asks to borrow the surfboard again, I might say, no, I'm not comfortable with you using it. I'm not comfortable with you borrowing my surfboard because you're careless. You put dings in it. So that's a boundary that I would set, which has nothing to do with forgiveness. Many people confuse these things and say, well, I can just get run over again. But the memorialization of this apology and forgiveness has everything to do with maintaining good relationships, which also are boundaries. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you use it regularly.